this one in for ages. Futa.
What are we even watching?
My name is Professor Lando, and welcome to the esteemed Ligma University. And in today's lesson, we're taking
Okay. Fuck.
a look at a very important topic, and that is
We are watching Futanari explain Professor Lando.
one on Futanari. Yes, Futanari. What is it? And also, why do we like it so much? That's what we're striving to answer today. So please, again, take a seat, open up your notebooks.
Hey
and,
GTM man, welcome in. Is it okay to cosplay me? Yes, that's completely fine.
let's begin class.
Hey boss! Thanks for the resub, homie. Why? Why? It was on one of the videos people have been reacting to.
Like I said, students, today we are going over Futanari. It is a genre of explicit Japanese material, aka hentai, where a character or characters has both female and male explicit parts, body parts. Now, what do I mean exactly by this? Well, I'll give you an example here. Let's take a female character.
What could he possibly mean here? I wonder.
Chun-Li, and we compare it to a male character, for example, someone like Naruto. Now, when it comes to Futanari, in its most basic description, it describes a character that is intersex, having both parts. Now, you could take this as a traditionally female character like Chun-Li having a phallus, or a male character having breasts, for example. But when it comes to Futanari in practice, out there on the field, we find that more often than not, the majority of the media
Futanari in practice, out there in the field, in combat. This is what's happening.
is going to be
An hour-long
female
hot
characters
That's long.
with the addition of male parts, conceptually speaking, and not male characters with female parts. Now, don't get confused. There could be some crossover here with Rule 63, male characters and or female characters being changed into the opposite gender in fan-made media, fan art and whatnot. But we are talking about Futanari. Now, before we get deeper into this subject, I'd like to get deeper into the subject, you know what Futanari is a genre in Japanese
Sus as frick. Sus. He's sus.
explicit fictional works. So when we talk about Futanari, it is in the context of fiction. And although there might be some loose associations with this word to some real-life cultural things many, many years ago, today, in modern times, and in the context that I'm teaching you about, Futanari is not to be used to describe real-life people, trans people specifically. Now, there might be some trans people that associate positively with this word. Who am I to say? Who am I to really know?
When you fuck around with a gun like this, you don't keep it loaded, okay? Maybe it's just a taser gun. We'll never know.
But generally speaking, I think we would all agree that Futanari, to describe real-life people, would be pretty distasteful. All right, you hear that? It's lunchtime, students. So before we get onto the rest of this lecture, let's get some brain food in us. Oh, I don't know about you students, but I am starving. Luckily, Ligma University offers a very nutritious diet plan for its faculty and its students.
Was it Ligma? University Ligma?
Before we eat, I think this is a good opportunity to learn something important about Futanari for you visual learners out there. Now, when it comes to Futanari, there are three main types of physical.
I know what he's gonna do with this, but this is the weirdest fucking meal you've ever seen. A donut, 2 oranges, and a banana.
Appearances of a Futanari character. We're going to use these food items as stand-ins for the explicit body parts you might find on a Futanari character. First off, we have a banana, or a phallus, a schlong, schmeat, the girth, member, length.
The girth.
And to go along
The girth, what the fuck?
with this banana, we have 2 tangerines. And they go at the base of the banana.
Who have you seen that pulls out a combo like this?
Like so. And this represents the male.
Why is he cradling the balls while he does this? He's like playing with them. What the?
package, as you can guess. And in a Futanari character, this replaces the normal female accoutrement that you would usually find. And they come in different shapes and sizes.
Girth over length. It made it sound like you were saying you've been with chicks that just wrapped out a slong. That's how it sounded.
Like they do in real life. They come just like this, girthy, way above average length, that's for sure. And maybe sometimes they come with a little bit of that skin missing at the top. And they say that loses some sensation for the banana, but I think they make do. And so that's going to be the first version of a Futanari character that we might run into. And so what we have next is this donut. That's going to represent the female body part usually found in explicit material. Right there, this delicious donut, right there. And so,
why? I hate it. I hate when they do that on the meme cooking videos too. Ugh.
In the second form of a Futanari character, in the physical appearance of it, instead of the standard male package, you remove the tangerines, no tangerines, and in place of it would be the donut, the female entrance where it normally would be, but with a banana
so Futanaris don't have balls?
Protruding from the top. Arguably, this is a more niche version compared to the standard male package being on a Futanari, but otherwise popular within its own community. And for the third version of a Futanari character, we're going to combine our entire meal and have a balanced, nutritious diet. We're going to have the standard male package, like so, resting upon our donut. Now, this might seem a little gluttonous to you, but to some people, this is their preference. And we can't argue that this is definitely a pillar of the Futanari genre. But I think whether or not you prefer your tangerines with your banana, no tangerines with your banana, I think we can all agree that when it comes to Futanari, it's all delicious. So fucking good. Well, that answers the question of what is.
Why would it be illegal though? It's just an intersex person, pretty much. But people like this do exist in real life. It's just uncomfortable him explaining it.
Is Futanari, but not why Futanari. And what do we mean by why Futanari? Well, why is it so popular? Let me give you some metrics here for reference. We're going to be pulling from two main sources, two main websites where Japanese explicit media, as well as other types of explicit media, are hosted. That would be these two websites right here.
Like
now, for liability's sake, I'm not going to tell you exactly which websites these
Similar
are,
to a trans,
but I will say that
trans person fetish too. Would that kind of go under like?
These are the two most popular websites for hosting Japanese explicit media, as well as other types of explicit media. This one being for images, and this one being for doujins, or the comic manga version. And on the first website, there are 603,639 individual results for the word Futanari. And for the doujin site, there are 35,416 individual works posted with the tag Futanari. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's a lot of Futanari. Now, the question is why? Why do we like Futanari so much? Well, the key thing here is projection. That's the term that I use to describe the phenomena at play here when it comes to Futanari. Much like how Charles Xavier, famed telepath leader of the
I know what Rule 34 is. I won't be hurt.
X-Men might project his conscious mind from one X-Men to another person. Tracer with a big fat. That's the type of projection I'm talking about here. Now let me go more into depth.
On that one.
The key appeal of the Futanari genre is understanding. Understanding what it feels like to have your chicken choked. So I think the tabooness and the appeal of Futanari comes from having that sensation that men are so intimately familiar with and projecting it onto a female character or female form and having that character experience, know what it's like to have that pleasure. That's the taboo-ness. That is where the main appeal of
I thought just because guys like to watch women more, so it makes
Futanari
sense that all the women
to play.
are women.
Basically,
but
the
have wanks.
appeal of Futanari can be summed up in this way.
guess so.
Hey, I know what it feels like, and I like that she knows what it feels like.
Oh,
But she's not supposed to, and that makes it hot. That's the projection I'm talking about. It's witnessing these female characters experience the same pleasure that I feel, with a little bit of taboo-ness. Students, I'll ask you this. Why do we all like MILF so much? Well, we all have a mother or can relate to some sort of motherly experience, positive or negative. And why do we all like furries
I think it's layers. There is layers for different people. Why?
so much? Well, I think it's because we all have an innate primal nature harkening back to our pharaoh ancestors that we all want to tap into and go primal. And that's why we like Futanari so much. It's because it's
I'm a little uncomfy he bring MILFs into that, because it's like, what's the connection there? You want to go primal on your mom? What?
relatable. It's universal. And so intellectual detractors might say, hey, Professor Lando, if it's about relatability, then why wouldn't you just watch men? Isn't that the ultimate relatability? That's because we're missing out on the taboo element. Men beating it, well, I beat it. I've been beating it my whole life. Also, why would I watch men? What, am I gay?
A hard question. Is he gay? Oh my god.
To answer this question, I want to take a look at one of my favorite scenarios. So what we have here is a visual representation for Plato's allegory of a cave. In regards to hardcore Futanari, I ask you this question, students. Are you the prisoner or are you the onlooker? What exactly are you lusting for? Are you lusting?
This is like the conundrum of the cock. Like, do you like to be cooked or not cooked? What is the aspects of cooking that you like? It's like such a like layering why people like it. So
for the concept, the idea, the projection,
mommy
and
issues.
relatability.
So if you like MILFs, you like mommy issues? You have mommy issues? Is that what you're saying?
Of the phallus on the female character. If so, then I purport that it is not gay. However, if that is not the reason you like
What is
Futanari,
that?
then there could be a whole nother discussion to be had, and maybe, just maybe, it might be gay. Okay, now we're gonna talk
Just maybe you might be gay. God.
about something called the Futanari pipeline of self-discovery. So how does this diagram start? Well, it starts with the most basic exposure. Hentai. Perhaps the first stage because of how
is it traumatizing? I can only imagine a lot of MILFs with sons and a
accessible it is, especially with how provocative the visuals can be, mostly being animated media. This could be discovering a certain Teen Titans animation on Newgrounds, or perhaps seeing a clip of some sort of animated, explicit Japanese fictional work. But eventually you go on to the next stage, which is doujins, a slew of content that you never knew existed before. The volumes are comparable to a Library of Alexandria, the sort of Library of Alexandria of the modern age.
Rome fans are crying right now. Greek fans are crying. Did you just compare doujins to the Library of Alexandria?
When it comes to the animated works, this is the clickbait of the not safe for work pipeline. Because although there are some fantastic animated works, generally speaking, these are not the best. In hindsight, of course, when you're first discovering, this is very sensational, but doujins, that's where the meat is at. The care each panel has, the amount of work that can be explored, is why doujins is the next stage. Where do we go from there? Well, now we discover...
Yeah, there's a lot of doujins.
SFM,
I read a few doujins back in the day, mainly fanfic doujins, you know, interesting stuff, but yeah.
Or 3D animations. Never underestimate the human potential for evolution, students.
God.
SFM, or Source Filmmaker, which is a 3D software developed by Valve, or other 3D programs such as Blender, 3D most popularly, I believe, allowed people to create a whole new world of not safe for work media.
Yeah, there's a lot of
3D
porn,
renders,
right?
3D animation,
Manga in the
taking
library,
the
then the
2D planes, which have been available in doujins and in the animated 2D works, and bring them into a whole new dimension.
If this goes up on the React channel, I really hope this doesn't turn into everyone in the comments just bringing out their first hot anime girl experience in the comments, just going, well, mine was here, bro.
Okay. Source, filmmaker, and Blender. Part of this is being able to take community-made models, assets, and the sheer productivity, the sheer output going down.
Honestly, my first, it's like, fanfic with sus stuff was Naruto fanfic, too. I read a lot of Naruto fanfic, same with Final Fantasy.
This
mainly
pipeline.
Stories, you want more
What is
content.
inevitable as a next step? If you are consuming SFM or 3D media, you are bound to discover Futanari. Yes, Futanari. Because Futanari, although
I did write Naruto
apparent
fanfics, yes I did. Actually wrote a couple Naruto fanfics.
in both doujin works and in animated works, for some reason seems to be particularly present within 3D works. Now, not saying that you can't skip a step here. Perhaps you might find your way more prevalently in
I was pretty
doujins
sure I've
than
told you
animated.
before that I've read.
But still
wrote Naruto
possible.
fanfic.
Perhaps
Hey,
there are
let's
some
see.
works. I'm not too familiar. Maybe you can send me some just so
I was
cross.
always too embarrassed. I think the most anyone ever did in one of my fanfics I wrote, it's why I find I always just get stuck at my romantic comics I do, is they kissed, because I'd get embarrassed. I still get embarrassed.
Reference. So
like
what are we
doing
talking
romantic
about here?
stuff.
Well, when you go down this
girl, I thought.
pipeline up to this point here, you might be somewhat normal.
Child.
As normal as you
At
can
heart,
be after
don't bend
discovering
much.
what these are. But upon discovering Futanari, I think, as a newly initiated person, you might be thinking, I don't hate it. Maybe. Kind of like it. So whether you follow the standard flow or perhaps find yourself off the beaten path a little bit, you get to this point and you have to admit something to yourself. Hey, kind of like that. And
Okay, is he saying if you get into hentai, then doujins, then 3D hentai, you will naturally come in contact with Futanari and you'll get into it? So if you consume porn, all roads lead to Futa?
where do we go from here? On an entirely separate pipeline, maybe you could see something like this happening.
Okay, I saw
What?
other channels reacting to this, and I thought I would react to it.
Oh, wait a minute.
And I was interested
Now,
because everyone was
instead
saying it
of
was bad.
liking female characters, those are just dudes. But hey, I think students, what you're saying is, but Professor Lando, no, they're feminine. They're breedable or and submissive and or. Well,
Is he saying Futa is the road to femboy?
well, once you're at this stage,
Tune in this week for the debate on the 28th to know is femboys gay on the debate. Live on Twitch and uploaded to the Wi-Fi Alliance podcast afterwards.
there is a way you might find yourself even deeper. F it, I just like men. Now, obviously, what I'm trying to say here is not that Futanari is going to turn someone bi or gay. You can't turn someone into something they're not. You can't change them. You can't turn them into being gay or bi.
I might
But
have to follow
maybe
this. We'll see.
this might reveal what's inside.
I'm not gonna
Okay,
kink
now we're going to
shame
talk about the
someone, so-
different types of subgenres within Futanari that you might run into.
Great house husband.
Okay, so the first subgenre that you're probably going to run
See,
into.
that's what I'm saying. House husbands are great. No one wants to believe me, but that's what I'm saying too.
The most is going to be Futa on female. And an example of this would be Tsunade and Shizune from Naruto. Tsunade here being the Futanari character and Shizune being the standard female character. Now, the reason I've chosen these two characters to demonstrate this scenario is because within the canonical material, the series Naruto, Tsunade and Shizune are a pair. They're friends. Shizune serving as an aide to Tsunade, who is the Hokage for a time, and introducing the Futanari aspect within this pairing specifically, and other types of female and female pairings that you might usually see in the source material.
House husbands are easy to please. Tools, food, they're all good. But okay, this is hard for me because I've watched Naruto and I know Shizune is Tsunade's ex's niece or something, and I'm like,
able to take their relationship and introduce this sort of new flavor to it. Now, there already is fan-made content of explicit nature, right? Being images or dojins of these two characters and other female characters partaking in coitus, lovemaking. And that already is a sort of rush and tabooness in itself. But introducing that next level, whether it be Futanari or something else, you're taking it to that boundary. All in all, when it comes to Futanari, this model is pretty standard stuff. Okay, so
when it comes to porn, most people don't think of backstory, honestly. I do, so that's why.
So the next subgenre that we're going to take a look at is Futa on Futa. Okay, so the example I'm choosing here is Cammy and Juri from Street Fighter. So obviously in this subgenre, Futanari on Futanari, you take two characters that are usually portrayed as female in the source material, and they are both Futanari characters.
And that's why I would say they are uncouth. Uncouth. To be fair, when I read a story, even if it's slightly spicy, I like the story. If the story sucks, throw it in the bin.
What I think really sets this subgenre apart from the others is the combative nature of it, as opposed to the first one, Futa and female, where there is a very clear give and take in the relationship. I enjoy the sort of clashing that might appear in Futanari and Futanari. That's why I've chosen
talking about sword fights.
These characters from a fighting game, Street Fighter, of course, Cammy and Juri. It's sort of a battle, and that's where the fun is. Okay, and the last subgenre that I'm going to cover is Futa on male, or Futanari on male. Okay, my example for this would...
I feel like a good topic was is female porn addiction just smut novels? The real question is, because porn can be, or excessive addiction to porn can be detrimental, does smut novels have the same detrimental qualities for women? Would be interesting.
Be 2B from Nier Automata, and me, Professor Lando. The traditional role that men often find themselves forced into by societal norms is one where men are predominantly the acting force, specifically in relationships. But sometimes we need these roles reversed. And what do I mean by that? Well, sometimes men might like the door held open for them. Or maybe sometimes they would...
Is this going to turn into all men want to be dominated trope? You know, really, just like me, a Japanese man, all men want to be dominated. It's
like to be the ones to get a compliment. Or maybe sometimes they would like the other person to pay for the check at dinner time. And sometimes they want Futanari 2B to plow them like the fertile lands of Mesopotamia. So it is in this way that Futanari on male might be the most complicated, but perhaps the most rewarding of the subgenres of Futanari. And I've been speaking mostly on Futanari on male, but of course this implies that the male could top the Futanari character. But that is for the weak of soul and mind and body. Only the weakest, whose bloodlines are inevitably bound to wither away and die, would prefer to top a Futanari 2B when the option to get topped by a Futanari 2B exists. Now, a lecture on...
I'm starting to think this teacher might be biased. Isn't the most popular Futanari, though, isn't it girl on girl? Oh, well, Futa on Futa?
The subject of Futanari would not be complete if we did not talk about Overwatch. This first-person shooter...
What kind of smut? You mean written smut? Because I would say women predominantly watch written smut, but smut in general is predominantly done by men. Hey Rex, but Lando, So written? Because
Game.
visuals, it's because men are visual. So doujins, hentai, 3D, most porn, predominantly men. Written, predominantly women. It's because they also love a good story.
Developed by Blizzard Entertainment,
They like
released
to get
in
involved
2016,
emotionally.
took the world by storm. It's hard to really adequately describe how popular Overwatch was, from the fan-made content, cosplays, art, to the competitive scene, the casual gaming scene, all the videos on YouTube and clips online. Overwatch was simply a phenomenon. Okay, well, students, you might be wondering, why are we talking about Overwatch? Well, it's because when it comes to Futanari, there is...
Yeah, I would say webtoons are also the next level. I would say written first, then webtoons for women.
so much Futanari based on Overwatch. I have seen so much Overwatch Futanari.
Oh, you can, but like most spicy stuff that is animated in 3D, porn, it doesn't have a story. If it's actually porn, it doesn't have a story. Let's not lie. Most hentais doesn't have a story, or if it does, it's so bare bones trash. That's why I would say it's predominantly men, and women don't go to it to watch. If you're talking about actual porn, because there's porn and racy stuff, and then you have actual storytelling, which is different. Yeah, you can be attracted to a male anime character, but that's not smut, that's not porn. So yeah, most yaoi is drawn by women. Yep, they love it.
And not just Futanari, there's just so much not safe for work content of Overwatch out there. On the previously mentioned not safe for work image hosting site, there are 101,367 results for Overwatch.
Funny enough, the reason why men and women like lesbians is completely different. The reason why women like men on men is kind of very different to why men like women on women.
Aside, what is the answer to the question, why is there so much Overwatch Futanari? Well, it's because playing Overwatch feels like you're getting f***ed. You're getting f***ed by every character, that they have to give each character a dick, so you can probably get f***ed by your teammates no matter who they play. Additionally, to answer the question,
yeah, it's the psychological difference. They want to get fucked. The psychological difference is that women prefer male-on-male romance because it removes the women from the equation and it feels safer. It's actually a psychological phenomenon that women enjoy romances when they can remove themselves from the situation a lot of the time, compared to especially sexual situations. It's why women like self-insert romance but prefer non-self-insert smut. And it has to do with a lot of sexual tropes and stuff like that. Yeah, they actually prefer smut about men on men because they don't have to see themselves in the character experience the violence or experience the bad things about sexual things. It's removed from them. Next day, women do like men. Obviously, they like men, but they like it better if women are removed from the scenario of sex. So you can let me down one last time. Yes, I'm gonna let you down one last time. But it's why a lot of women like the male ex male when they're younger, because they don't want to see a romance with them involved in it. Yeah. But like ironically, yes. Also the stories, the romance. Also in yaoi too, it's predominantly written by women, so men act more how women kind of want them to act sometimes. Emotional, caring, expressing their emotional, shy, sweet, all that kind of stuff. So it's written by women for women, so of course they'll like it more. So there's layers to it too.
is it gay to like Overwatch Futanari? My answer?
Oh yeah.
Yes. And it's not because of the Futanari. It's because I can't think of anything gayer than liking Overwatch. Hello students, thank you so much for watching the video. Professor Lando here with a little bit of an announcement. I'm going to be making an appearance at Anime Expo this year, July 4th weekend, Los Angeles, California. I'll be having a meet and greet on...
So this did accidentally turn into a rant. Sorry if this ends up on the React channel, just talking about like the hentai and the smut aspects. But it is interesting, like his thought process on Futa, because I definitely have never thought much about it compared to other ones.